Whoops, looks like somebody forgot to turn off the hose. Ooh, an underwater fan. Would that make it an aficionado? Boo, boo. It's okay, I've almost met my quota. I'm a little disappointed. After all of the rich complexity throughout the backgrounds of this game, now we've got solid colors. It's as though all of the interesting background detail was pounded into submission until it all turned black and blue. I do like this area, though. It's nice to be able to pick up power-ups with some real risk involved in getting them, even if one or two of the challenges are a little fishy-washy. That ought to do it. I think that brings my bad pun quota to a coda. And right here is where that which is visually interesting begins to taper off, as promised oh so long ago. It's all downhill from here. See? Notice how this room reminds me of Gravity Man stage in Mega Man 5? Wait a second, think about this. Notice how this room reminds me of... How would you realize that unless you were reading my mind? There's a distinct lack of Guts Man in the ceiling. Doesn't it look like there should be a Guts Man in the ceiling there? For old time's sake. Oh boy, it's time for a rematch against all the bosses! Not like, ever. Just in this game. The trouble with this first rematch, aside from the fact that I am using a weapon that is terribly ill-suited to this battle, is that the weapon I switch to is none other than the weapon I used to defeat him the first time around. Beepity-beepity-bee. Dear viewer, I made a solemn vow, for the sake of your entertainment, to never fight a Robot Master with the same weapon twice. That's why I feel as though I failed you, and as punishment, I'm putting myself into timeout. Sincerely, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel? Nay, 'tis I, Z-Saber, stealing Centaur stage. If you focus on the centaur of the screen, you'll notice Mega Man getting the bit and bridle kicked out of him by Mr. Fantasia Gone Wild. It's like a Lapith wedding. Ooh, burn! Classics joke. That probably went over all of your heads. Ah well, Mega Man, super fighting robots, not so super fighting mythical beasts.
Hey, what are you doing in my chair?
Recording commentary.
Why?
Surprise!
Get out of my chair.
Oh, fine.
That's my girl, hijacking my commentary. What did she call herself? Z-Saber? Ah, about the only name I'm worthy of right now is Centaur Smashed. I wish I had a cool weapon name like Rain Flush or Plug Ball. Sliding on broken glass. People occasionally ask me if I can give them any advice so that they can become better Mega Man players, and I usually tell them, nerds candy. Lots of nerds candy. It just gives you this boost that you need to... special weapons. Special weapons give you this boost that you need to have the advantage over the enemy, to make the battlefield your own. I wasn't content to just stand in a corner and get pulverized by Tomahawk. No, and I'm not here either. I'm going to switch to Jet Adapter, get myself out of the way, so that I can go into the other corner and misjudge timing and distance and get pulverized by Tomahawk. Ah, or not! Or so. Yeah, if you've ever wondered what it looks like when I play Mega Man normally, that is, not for an audience, not to make a video, not to show off, I usually lean back on the couch, and I put on my pajamas, and, call on the power of lightning! I'm stuck. Ah, that has never happened to me before. Though I've noticed in Mega Man 6 that anytime you trigger something that momentarily pauses the gameplay, such as picking up a power-up and waiting for your energy to refill, Mega Man gets locked into whatever animation he's going through, if he's going through an animation. Ow! I can't believe I was just hit by a slow flake. How do you like my snow shuffle? This is more or less what it looks like when I play Mega Man normally. The boss battle gauntlet is indicative of the lack of polish that I sometimes exhibit. Sometimes it's not all finely choreographed, but you know why I still succeed, even if it doesn't always look great? Because I'm wearing the superior shoulder pads, Blizzard Man! Though, admittedly, Blizzard Man does have some pretty cool shoulder pads. I think what it is about the boss battle gauntlet that gets me caught up sometimes, at least in terms of that consistent show-offery, because sometimes it's actually even better than other things that I've had to offer, and sometimes, maybe not. I still need practice with this weapon, it's true. Yeah, but let's step up my game a little bit and start dishing it out. You're Thomas Hawk, sir. Ah, the broken glass, it hurts! I'm sorry, I was talking about something else during that last battle, and then I interrupted myself. I was talking about... Oh yes, the castle in Mega Man 2. The reason why I sometimes have trouble with the boss battle gauntlet. Mostly it's because I keep getting hit. Okay, new strategy. Don't try to dodge. Yeah, it works pretty well. Needing to shift gears so frequently is what makes the boss rematches a little bit trickier for me when I'm trying to show off. It's not that I can't memorize a boss's pattern, but bosses are a little more unpredictable than, say, a bed of spikes. If you can do the same thing predictably every time, you're probably going to get pretty good at showing off. But if it's a little different, you gotta change your strategy, it can be a little tougher. Not that Nightman or my unnecessary but fun Turbo Fire finishing move have done anything whatsoever to help illustrate my point. Have I mentioned how much I like the boss music in this game? I think it perfectly captures that sensation of tension and excitement. This is a showdown against a plant. It makes sense that Blizzard is Plant Man's weakness, because cold weather and frost can be very damaging to plants. Although it's a shame that I didn't defeat him using his own weapon, because then I could have quipped,
"Well, it looks like my flower is fancier."
Oh well, another missed opportunity. What? Where's Wily? We're supposed to have a big battle, and then he escapes and I chase him to the final stage. Did that happen off camera? I am perturbed.
Can it be pizza time now?
No!
But you said...
No!
Oh.
No, right now? I'm trapped. Oh, there's the exit. Now is not the time to serve pizza. Now is the time to serve justice! Wily denied me the satisfaction of a boss battle just now, and he wiggled his eyebrows before I was ready for him. And he's also trying to take over the world, and that's generally frowned upon. I am really struggling for creative and interesting things to do here. If this level were just a straight-up continuation of the previous one, I might be okay with it, but it's a standalone level, and it's the final stage. Aside from dodging bullets, there is nothing going on here. It's highly disappointing, like everything Flip-Top ever gives me. Aww, he thinks he's helping. But you know what? I'm gonna miss my ineffective little companion in Mega Man 7 when he becomes part of the scenery. I get random, useless power-ups all the time, but it's that much more meaningful when they're delivered personally. Tighten those boxing gloves. This is the fight my mentor warned me about. Ah, if only that were true. Payback time. This is for doing your eyebrows at the wrong time, and this is one of the most disappointing final boss battles in Mega Man history! The setup is great. The music sounds like a more serious version of the final boss theme from Mega Man 5, and it really conveys the feeling that one way or another, it all ends here. Then you've got this huge machine that is very painful! And it takes up a quarter of the screen. It ultimately has 3 different forms. This is a great setup! And it's a warm-up! And the first form looks kind of cool. Unfortunately, the second and third form don't really look like much of anything. Slide! I mean, I like that you're blowing apart the machine to see what's inside. And the damage output, that's the other thing. Considering this is a huge machine that is stomping on you with spikes, you'd think it would do more damage. But alas, all those E-tanks you've likely been stockpiling the entire game are probably gonna go unloved. Unless you give them all names, and talk to them, and pet them. Oh, here it comes! Final form! As it turns out, ooh, close dodge, Silver Tomahawk is the weapon to use against all 3 forms of this boss. I can understand the final form. Tomahawk's unique attack pattern makes it easier to hit Wily, but the first 2 forms? I could understand if the challenge were to conserve your Tomahawk energy because it was the only weapon that did any real damage, or was the only weapon that could actually hit him, but he's vulnerable to basically any weapon, at least taking 1 damage, and he's not a difficult target to hit. If he were shielded on all sides except for the bottom, which would be awesome, different story. Beat, are you on strike? Hit the man. Fine, I'll finish him off. This just in, final boss cancelled on account of snow. Don't move, I lost the contact lens. I know it's around here somewhere. Don't get close. Nice try, Wily, but I'm tying you to the railroad tracks? Where are my robo handcuffs? It's the year 20XX. Who uses rope? Did we just put a monkey behind bars? Triumphant at last, because the previous 5 games don't count, Mega Man arrested the notorious Dr. Wily and brought him to justice! Justice! Sentenced to prison for his crimes. Like, a real prison with actual security? Dr. Wily now rules over a prison cell. At long last, it can be pizza time.
Yay!
Here's a neat idea. We get to see all of the Robot Masters all over again in their native habitats. In case we forgot what they look like. At this point, we've now fought all of these guys twice, possibly 3 times, if we had to go back to their stages to claim one of the beat letters, so I don't see why this in particular is necessary. It's a good idea, but I much rather would have seen them in prison with Dr. Wily, bouncing around their prison cells, and then you get to see Dr. Wily at the end pacing or wiggling his eyebrows or frowning or something entertaining. I think it would have been funny. An alternative is to go through the stages, so Centaur Man stage right now, for example, and do a quick speed-through of the level where you're just panning the camera from one side to the other and watching the enemies do their thing. That could be cool, too. Maybe. Still, it's a respectable attempt at evoking a sense of completion and satisfaction for conquering all of these robots, even if it does so mostly by superficially extending the length of the ending. However, I like that we get to hear a medley of all of the Robot Masters stage themes, because I am a sucker for music medleys. And the transitions are pretty cool, too. I imagine that this is a pretty accurate picture of how the Robot Masters spend their free time. They're not out there burning cities and trying to take over the world. They're bumming around their chambers, working out, waiting for Mega Man to show up, because seriously, Mega Man always comes to them. When does he have to go out and stop them from doing anything? Fun fact, you might know this, most of the Robot Masters were designed by players. Capcom held several contests over the many years that Mega Man's been in existence for people to submit their own Robot Master ideas for the next Mega Man game. Originally, these contests were only held to people in Japan, but for this game, the floor was open to a more international audience. Pretty cool. Yes, we get it, you throw plants, thank you. I ragweed on Plant Man a lot, but I have to. He's the game's obligatory silly boss. How can I not? Interesting tidbit about the bosses that I picked up while reading what other people had to say about Mega Man 6. The bosses are broken into 2 categories, elements and warriors. Elements, earth, fire, wind, water, got bosses representative of all of those. And warriors, you've got the guy with the tomahawk, the guy with the spear, the guy with the mace, and the guy with the centaur horns. Coincidentally, these are the bosses you need to fight to get beat. Oh, don't mind Windman, he's just blown off some steam. So there's all this trivia and all these creative ideas, yet in my experience, Mega Man 6 is very rarely brought up in conversation. Why is that? I think it's because the ideas in this game are fresh enough to keep the Mega Man formula from feeling too stale in yet another sequel, but the ideas aren't quite developed or prominent enough to make the game into anything more than yet another sequel. Some of the cultural and geographical references beat you over the head with the international theme in this game, but too often those references are absent, unclear, or just plain backwards. I did some research on Canadian submarines. Yes, they do exist. The first one I found caught on fire! Who ever heard of the underground hard hat dispensers of the American West? We need Metals with cowboy hats. We need Chinese dragon mini-bosses. We need to stop complaining and pay attention to this music. In an unexpectedly refreshing twist of musical continuity, the likes of which haven't been seen since Mega Man 1 and 2, this ending theme will be adapted for the intro to Mega Man 7. Could this game be improved? Absolutely, but I would expect nothing less from a game planned by 613 turkeys. With a greater emphasis on the rush adapters, more variety in the enemy combinations, a larger number of straight-up platforming challenges, a more convincing storyline in disguise for Dr. Fakebeard's sunglasses, and just a pinch more Hyper Mickey, this could have been a truly satisfying conclusion to the NES Mega Man saga. Well, I suppose we'd need a stronger final boss battle and fewer E-tanks, but you know what? I like Mega Man 6 the way it is. I see a lot of potential for me to like it more, but it's still a pretty good game. The sound effects are fun, the music is high quality, albeit a little more serious than I'm accustomed to hearing in a Mega Man game. The visuals are top-notch, just about the best you're ever going to see on an NES. The boss lineup is solid, the boss weapons are powerful, the rush adapters put a unique twist on the gameplay, and the fact that you finally get to throw Wily in the slammer is just a nice way to end things, though I'm a little suspicious about that to be continued floating down there. Yeah, it's not hurting anybody, I'm sure it'll be fine. And really, that's about all there is. That is Mega Man 6. Thank you for bearing with me. Thanks for sticking around, I appreciate it. Truly. Once again, I'm Nathaniel Hoover, and as usual, remember what we say,
Don't get
illuminated!